All right, I'm going to show you and prove to you that everything the left, the Democrats, our current government is doing is all politically based. And that is slandering Americans, calling them domestic terrorists because they're trying to stop what's going on in this country. They're actually people who are patriots who don't like what they're seeing with open borders, with political prosecution, with government that has used law enforcement to go after political opponents. The court system, the judiciary is all bought out, and they're just trying to change it. So what they do is they go after them and they call them domestic terrorists. We have President Biden, we have CNN, MSNBC, very prominent people on TV calling people who support President Trump domestic terrorists. They went to school boards and called parents who were going against the narrative as far as protesting what the children are being taught in the schools as far as anti-white stuff that is anti-American, all this crazy stuff. So they went there to protest, and they also were called domestic terrorists, and they were actually investigated by the FBI, and we had hearings. All this stuff is provable. Again, so people are going against that narrative, and what they do is they attack them and call them domestic terrorists. So when we have actual domestic terrorists that are on the left, they're protected by the status quo, by the media, by the Democrats, and by our current administration. And I'm going to show you that. I'm going to prove it to you once and for all. I know some people will continue to deny this because, as we have seen, people are learning to just not see what they're actually seeing with their own eyes. What they do is they see something and they find an excuse to say that that's not really what's happening. We saw it over and over. We saw it during the George Floyd riots in 2020. We see it every day as the media lies to us, as our government officials lie to us. They tell us there's no open borders, but we know that there is. But anyway, I just want to get to the point. I want to show you now how this administration has continuously gone after Trump supporters and called them terrorists. Check this out right here. Just let me show you.
They weren't protesters. Don't dare call them protesters. They were a riotous mob. Insurrectionists, domestic terrorists.
There you go. Domestic terrorists, right? Again, let's see what he says here.
In our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the Maga Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. I want to be very clear up front. Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans are MAGA Republicans. Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology. I know, because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans. But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country.
So you heard it, the whole extremist rhetoric, everything right here again. Look, exclusive. Donald Trump followers are targeted by the FBI as 2024 elections. White House aided school board group's domestic terrorism letter before Garland sick FBI on parents. And again, I could go on and show you news that's calling Americans terrorists just because they believe in the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Constitution. So they go after them hardcore, right? Now, what do we have going on today? We have the Israeli-Gaza thing. We have people in the streets that are Americans or even illegal aliens screaming death to America. Nothing is said about them. We have people in schools who are attacking Jewish students, threatening their lives. Is that not an act of terrorism? Instead, no, they don't call it that. They call it something else. Let me show you this incident that happened, okay? Teens threatened Jewish student with sword, knife, and crowbar in New York City, right? Check this out. I want to show you how they protect them. This is insane. Sword-wielding teens threatened to get Jewish kids in anti-Semitic attack, right? MSNBC, look what they did with this article. Tell me they're not setting up. Look what happens when I click on this. This page no longer exists. They took it out because they don't want you to read about that. This is the MSN. And now, last but not least, I'm going to show you as Blinken, I think that's his name, Blinken took the stand and he was questioned by reporters. And check this out. Check out his answer. Listen to this.
Country violent anti-Semitic threats. Are they domestic terrorists?
I don't know that we're classifying people as domestic terrorists.
I just showed you all this stuff that they're classifying MAGA supporters as domestic terrorists. And this guy goes on live TV and says, oh, we're not classifying people as domestic terrorists. There you have it. Our government is insane. They're sick. They're demented. They hate anyone who stands for what America means. And they support people who hate this country. People who are anti-Semitic. People who hate Jews. And you just saw it right there. He's sitting there covering up for things that we know that happened. In Cornell University, the students there surrounded a bunch of Jewish students, threatened to kill them, and they had to be removed by the police, the students, in order to protect them. So this is what's going on. But that's not domestic terrorism. People speaking out against, at school boards, people speaking out against the destruction of their free speech that the government is working with social media on, people talking out against their guns being removed, those are domestic terrorism. This is what we're up against, people. This is why we have to win this culture war. This is why we have to win this war in America. But it's getting to a point now where the war in America isn't going to be a problem. It's going to be the world war that's about to happen if we don't fix this thing. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.